Okay, welcome everyone and thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to go through with you how to do an STP check-in. Now this little video is actually targeted straight at Myob data files. We do actually have a couple more for AgriMaster, for Reckon, for Xero and for KeyPay. So for all the Myob users, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so what we're going to do is go through an STP check-in. Now the reason we want to do an STP check-in is that we're coming up to the end of the financial year, and as you know it gets quite hectic just with lots of bank reconciliations, getting everything ready for the end of the financial year. So in preparation for that, what we are suggesting at the moment is to do a check-in now. What we are doing is we're checking up to see what our year-to-date figures are for our payroll and compare that to the information that we've submitted to the ATO already. The whole idea is that if there's any errors or discrepancies, we have the time now to fix it up before the end of the financial year. Okay, so the process is an finalisation. So for all the people out there that this is their first year of doing single touch payroll, at the end of the financial year, so once 30th of June clicks over, we then have to do a finalisation. That just says to the ATO, okay, we're happy with all of our figures, our year-to-date gross figures, and that your employee can then go off and launch their tax return. Now, normally payment summaries, which was the payment summaries, so the finalisation replaces printing off your payment summaries, or group certificates is what they used to be called years and years ago. So you do have until the 14th of July. Now the 14th of July is for all of your the employees who employ over 20 employees. So you should be doing single touch payroll. This should be your second year now. You've got until the 14th of July to do your finalisation. If you're new to single touch payroll this year, you actually do have an extension until the 31st of July. However, we are strongly suggesting that you do it sooner rather than later. Okay, don't leave it to the last minute because your employees will want their information straight away, because no doubt they're hanging out to lodge their tax returns and get their little tax refunds back if they're due any. Now, once you do finalise your single touch payroll, your employees will have that information through their Myob, and it will say it's tax ready. They can then go ahead and lodge their tax returns. For new employee, if this is the first year that you're actually doing it, you'll probably get a lot of questions from your employees because they're used to having their payment summaries. There is a flyer that we've got on the Lincoln's website, which has a fair bit of information from the ATO. So I do suggest jumping onto our resources page at lincolns.com.au and just grab off that flyer and give it to your employees. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a bit of a demo in Myob to show you how quick and easy it is to do a check-in. So I'm just going to share my screen. Now in Myob, we're just going to grab a report off just to see what our year-to-date information is. Now, when we're picking this report, we want to date it from the beginning of the financial year, so the 1st of July 2019, and we want to pick today's date. Okay, when you lodge your single touch payroll, you do it at the end of every pay run. So we want to capture the information up until today. So if you're doing this, don't pick the end of last quarter, you want to pick today's date. Okay, now we're going to display that report. Okay, so this shows us year-to-date gross for every employee that we've got that's gone through payroll. Shows the tax withheld and the expenses, which is normally just your super guarantee. Okay, so now that we've got that report, now feel free to print that off, or if you've got two screens, whack it up on one screen, because we need to compare this information to what we've lodged through single touch payroll. I've just got to do this through PowerPoint, slightly different. Now, you're probably used to, with your payroll reporting centre, when you come through here, you'll notice at the top we've got reports, employment terminations, end of financial year finalisation, ATO settings, that wonderful new JobKeeper payments section. Now, we're just in reports at the moment. So this is where you can see all of the pay runs that you've previously submitted through Single Touch Payroll and whether they've been accepted or not. As we go across, we're then going to go and have a look at our end of financial year finalisation. Okay, so when we look at that, we have got okay, so this here gives us each of our employees again with their year-to-date information. So as part of the check-in, what we want to do is compare the report that we had previously. So I've just put a screenshot of that up in the top right-hand corner, just so that I can demonstrate this. So what we want to do is compare what we've got in that previous report as to what has been lodged through Single Touch Payroll. So we've got here for the payroll year 1920, so we're in the right financial year. If that's the wrong year, you need to just change it over to be the current year we're in. It then details each employee, what their gross is and what their tax withheld. So all we're going to do is compare the figures here to the figures that were in that report that we printed off previously. So as we go down, Mary has got 15,389.06, 3,564 in tax withheld. We're going to compare that up into our previous report. So her gross is slightly different. So we'll want to investigate that. Her tax, so we're only looking at the gross and the tax at the moment, 3,564, slightly different. The quickest way to do it is to actually look at the total of each of, for all employees to start with. If that there matched up to be the total of the report above, then we know it's all in line, okay? Because that's out, then we know something's a bit different. So then we'd probably go line by line, checking every employee to make sure that they match. So just a quick glance there. I can tell you that Alan, Peter and Sue, their figures are in line with what the previous report said, so it's only Mary's that's slightly different. So then we need to go off and investigate why that's different, okay? I'll show you that in our next, our little troubleshooting section. So let's just assume for this sake that everything matches, so we're okay with that. So job done, tick it off. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention before your job's over is to put in termination dates. So what this does is that you may remember when you used to fill out your payment summaries, you would have the date they were employed from and when they finished employment with you. So to get those figures in there, you actually need to do the employment terminations, okay? So clicking on this employment terminations screen, we can then pop in there, we'll have each of your employees and you can pop in there the date that they finished, and then you notify the ATO. So that will actually, it does the job for you quick and easy. You'll notice that I've already put in there for Mary. So she finished on the 18th of the 12th, and you'll notice on the previous screen that it actually had her termination date already in there. Okay, so that's just a nice tidy up way because it will then clear up your employee information for you. Okay, so that's how quick and easy it is. Now, the only thing I did want to actually show you was that if those figures don't match, of where you need to go to work out what the problem areas were. So we had a look there and we had Mary's was 17,189.06. We compared that to what our finalisation was. It actually turned out to be $1,800 because it was the deduction amount. The report that you want to have a look at to find that is there's a registered detail. Now, if we pick exactly the same dates again and display that report, it will provide the breakdown. So we've got Mary's 17,189.06 less the salary sacrifice. So we know in this case that the salary sacrifice amount will actually come off her gross amount. So the gross that's been reported through the Single Touch Payroll is actually correct at the moment. So we don't have to do anything there. If, for example, then it had, it was only picking up the 16,924 and you knew you could see that the holiday pay wasn't included, then we'd have to go off and find that payroll category and assign it. So it may have just been that that payroll category hadn't been assigned to gross payments, and we would go and reassign it and then lodge the payroll, a zero payroll, and that would get everything up to date. Now, I do suggest if you do have any problems, so that there are variances between what your payroll report shows as compared to what has been lodged through Single Touch Payroll, I do suggest trying to find it yourself. But if you can't track it down, or you're having trouble updating the information with the ATO, then get in touch with your accountant. The more that we can do things now, the easier it's going to be at the 30th of June. Okay, and I think that's about it. So good luck, have a crack at it, and just, once you've done it once, that's probably it. You probably won't need to do it again, although I would suggest maybe you can do it every quarter when we go into the next new financial year, just to make sure everything's tracking along nicely. But thanks for checking in. Do get in touch with us if you have any problems with that, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.